A night out with the boys. The lights were dim, so low I could hardly make out who was in the room with me. Annoyed, I picked my way to the center where the chair was. The smoky air was as thick as my wife's perfume and about as breathable. I pulled a metal folding chair out and sat next to a man I didn't know. Squinting, I looked at every face in the room. Not one was familiar. Adjusting my tie, the stupid white greyish tie Georgia had given me for Christmas. I stared at the glass ashtray in the hand of the man sitting next to me. The low voltage lights were reflecting in it, making I thought a rather interesting pattern. At least it was more interesting than anything that had happened yet that evening. I was a fool to have come, I thought, angry. When the letter came the week before, my wife had opened it. Look, she said, handing me my opened mail. It was a small square of neatly printed white paper. It's from the nice man down the block. It's an invitation to a meeting of some sort. You'll have to go. Go? Meeting? I asked, taking off my overcoat and reaching for the letter. You are invited, the paper read, to the annual meeting of a Briarwood Men's Club to be held at the Rama's Room at Earl's Restaurant. Sunday evening, January 8 o'clock. It was signed Yours in Brotherhood, Callan Reynolds. Oh, I didn't know, I said. I hardly know the guy, and I have never heard of that club. You are going, Georgia rasped. It's your chance to get in good with the neighbors. We have lived here 2 whole months, and not a soul had dropped in to see us. No wonder, I thought, they have hardly enough of your whining and complaining the time they have run into you at the supermarket. Maybe, I said, people here are just reserved. Maybe people in the East just aren't as friendly as the people you knew back home, she said, sneering. Oh, Georgia, don't start that up again. We left, didn't we? I pulled up a lifetime of roots for you, didn't I? Are you trying to tell me it was my fault? Because if you are Mr. 40 and foolish, you have got another thing coming. It was entirely your fault, and you are just lucky I didn't leave you over it. All right, Georgia. Where would you be without Daddy's money, Mr. Fathead? Where would you be without me? I'm sorry, Georgia. I'm just tired, that's all. She gave a smug little smile and went on. You are going, she nodded, making her dyed orange hair shake like an old mop. Yes, indeedly. You can wear your good dark brown suit and that new tie I gave you. And she went on planning my wardrobe just as she do planning every minute of my last 14 years. So the night of the 8th, I was at the annual meeting of the Pearwood Man's Club, totally disgusted. What crazy kind of club had a meeting annually? A service club? Fraternal organization once a year? What it was? It was almost 8 when the men stopped filling into the room. They were, with hardly an exception, a sad looking lot. I mean, they looked depressed, a gathering of funeral directors, a club for people who had failed at suicide and were contemplating it again. I think this is all of us men, Reynolds said, standing at the ties. Yes, we can begin. Alphabetical order, as always, 1 minute. A sad, tired looking man in his 50s stood up and went to the platform. Harry Adams. She, he whipped his brow nervously and went on. This year has been the worst ever for me. You have seen her. She's so beautiful. I know you think I am lucky, but I am not. No, no, she's been after me every minute of buy her this, buy her that, so she can impress all the neighbors. I don't make enough money to be able to do this, but she threatened to leave me and take all I have got, which isn't all that much any longer if I don't give in. So I took out a loan at the bank, told them it was for a new roof, bought her everything she wanted with the money. But it wasn't enough. She wants more, a full length mink coat, a 2 carat diamond ring. I'll have to go to another bank, go another loan for my roof. I am running out of money. I'm running out of roofs. 1 minute, Harry. Dejected, the little man left the platform and another took his place, frowning. She invited her mother to live with us. The old dame moved in last April. I could hardly put up with my wife. But now I have got two of them, meaning nagging in stereo yet. You can't imagine how it is, guys. I get home from work 5 minutes late. I have got two of them on my back. I forgot my wife's birthday. My mother-in-law lets me have it. I forget my mother-in-law's birthday. My wife lets me have it. He looked over at Reynolds sitting on the platform. More. 10 seconds, Joe. I just want to say I can't stand it at home any longer. I am not a young man any longer. Minute, Joe. And it was another's turn. I sat there rigid with fascination. What a great idea. Once a year, get together to complain about the wife. Get it out of the system. Let it all out. And to think I hadn't wanted to come. Some guy named Dorman was on next. His wife had eaten herself up to 280 pounds and flying. His wife had gone to 30 doctors for her imagined ills. Harder, his wife refused to wear her false teeth around the house unless they had guests and clerks. His wife had wrecked his brand new sports car 3 times in the year, down to Morgan, whose wife gave all of his comfortable old clothes to charity. And then it was my turn. It wasn't, you understand, that I wanted to impress anybody, but to be able to actually say it, to tell the world what she do done to me. Heaven. I took my place on the ties and looked at Reynolds. You can begin now, he said kindly. Freddie Nerf. Her name was Jenny, and she was my secretary, and she was 23, and I loved her more than anything else on earth, and knew I always would. And my wife, who is cold like you wouldn't believe, found out and told everybody on the west coast what I do done, and said we do have to move thousands of miles away from that tramp. Only Jenny wasn't a tramp, and I will never in my life see her again. And I still love her so much, and my wife keeps bringing the whole thing up, and I try to forget because it hurts so much. But I know I'll never be able to, especially with my wife reminding me all the time. 1 minute, Fred. I can't stand my wife. I yelled into the microphone as I left the platform. Never in my 39 and three-quarter years had I felt so good, almost laughing from the pure pleasure of getting it out of my system. I took my seat and half listened to the others. Ons, whose wife told his kids he was dummy, and Quentin, whose wife had gone back to college and thought she was smarter than he was, and Smith, whose wife, what for the one whose wife is the worst. I scribbled down the name Freddie Nerf. After all, I did have the worst wife. Glenn Reynolds collected the slips of paper and sorted them. In a few minutes, he turned to face the man. For the first time, men had said, "A new member has won. Fred Neff, the one with the wife, you remember, who called his nice girlfriend a tramp." I half rose as he congratulated me, feeling somewhat foolish and yet proud. It was indeed an honor. And then all of them, all the sad faced, beaten down men, gathered around me and shook my hand. Some of them actually had tears in their eyes as they patted me on the back. Later, as we all went to the lounge to have a drink before going home, I found Reynolds at the end of the bar and went over to him with my drink. "This is some deal," I said. It really felt good to get in out of my system. Whose idea was this club? Mine, he said. "We have met once a year for the last 5 years. I control the membership and I wanted you to be included this year. That wife of yours is really something, isn't she?" "Yes," I agreed. "She sure is." "Oh, how come you didn't speak?" "Because it's your club." "Oh no, my wife passed away 4 years ago. I'm sorry," I said, feeling suddenly awkward. That guy sitting over there, the one who's had the big smile on his face all evening, who the heck is he?" "Gray McLean. He's a plumber." "Oh, sure." Say, didn't my wife tell me the McLean's wife died last year in some sort of horrible accident?" Reynolds smiled proudly and patted me on the arm. "Of course, old man. McLean was last year's winner." What do you think about this splendid story? Do tell me in comments.